There it is.
We are back to the Next Level show. We welcome anyone that's new to this craziness that's about to unfold. We're just going to take so many turns left, right, upside down, backwards, whatever you name it. We're just going to be bending the laws of physics here.
It's a roller coaster ride. Loop the loops, just straight downhill moves all over the place.
But basically, if you're someone that's been following the show, we welcome you back. Thank you for always the constant support. For the people that don't know and they are listening to this on an audio platform, we do have a YouTube channel. Go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just keep helping us grow it up and give a like to this video real quick, and then go tune back to your favorite podcast platform of choice, whichever you want. We don't care. It's just as long as you're supporting the show and gaining this wisdom and knowledge, we are completely content with that.
Word. Mike.
Yes.
How you doing?
Mike, how do you feel? Mike, how does it feel to be rich?
I'm not rich.
So modest.
But it feels good, So yeah, I bought a car. I bought a new car. I bought a WRX, not the STI. That was about $10,000 more expensive. And from what I was researching, like way more power. Obviously, it's a fucking race car. It's a track car. But as a daily driver, it didn't seem as practical.
Also has a really cool spoiler.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm not a big fan of those, the giant spoiler on the back.
I love that shit. It just fucking looks so mean on the road.
Yeah.
But I get it. I get it.
I like the sleeker look. Mine has a tiny little, like a tiny little spoiler compared, if we're measuring whatever. Which I'm fine with, but
it's like the Subaru has a mullet, like a full mullet, but you have a little mullet, like a small little tail.
Yeah, exactly. Like a little rat tail. Yeah.
Okay.
But it didn't even like the way it panned out. Like I was like in the back of my mind, and maybe thoughts become things happened here. In the back of my mind, I'm like, I'm gonna buy myself a car for my birthday if it works out. And then I'm like, I'm inquiring, and like the cars that I'm looking at online, they're in delivery and they're not going to be here until mid-October. I'm like, that's perfect. That gives me time. So I'm like, well, let's do like due diligence. Let's go down there and get the car appraised, see what it's worth. I can go home, do some math. I can think about it, go at a moderate pace. I go there. We're doing the thing. They're appraising. They're going to put some numbers together. And then the guy's like, my sales manager just told me that they delivered a WRX yesterday that we traded for an Outback. So we literally have one. It's not the premium. It's the base model. It's a little bit cheaper. It'll save you some money. I'm like, fuck. Looks like I'm buying a car today. And it was the color that I wanted and everything. So I didn't even test drive it. The guy was like, do you want to test drive it? I'm like, I would love to. And we go out there and I was like, I'm going to be honest, man, I can't drive a stick right now, but confidently. So I was like, do you want to drive it? Take me around so I can like check out the car and whatever. And he's like, hell yeah, I'll drive it. So we went around and did like this little loop, test drive loop, whatever. And this dude, it's got 9 miles on it at this point. This dude's just fucking cranking on it. I'm like, dude, what about like break-in period? Like, don't break my car, bro. But yeah, and then I literally, like, I'm not even ashamed to admit this. After I bought this, I had the salesman drive it home while I drove a loaner to my house so that I didn't have to learn how to drive stick in the middle of Fort Myers, which is like the busy area for people who don't live here. Mm-hmm. And I don't regret my decision at all, because when I got home, it was a rough go. To put it lightly. Yeah.
Luckily it's a new clutch, and clutches are usually pretty resilient at first.
Yeah. That's what the guy was telling me. It literally, I just drove circles around my neighborhood. And when I say drove, I use that word very liberally. I stalled all the way around my neighborhood, like at least 50 times. It took me a good hour and a half to figure out the clutch to gas ratio. I did
each car's a little different.
I did the whole like back and forth thing a couple times.
Oh, it pains my heart.
Yeah, and there were a couple times where it just like just didn't go anywhere. It just and you just stop and you're like, okay, let's try again. I'm good now. I'm starting to understand. Like you can you can kind of let off the clutch a little bit and it starts to roll forward. And that's like your context clue of like, okay, now I can give it some gas. You can use that little trick to kind of pull forward in traffic a little bit. I'm getting the hang of it, or the hang of it. But I still stall at least one time a day.
Mm.
It's always at a stoplight, and it's always when there's people around. If I'm the only person at the stoplight, it is a perfect shifting experience all the way through. If there's even a single person around, I'm just like, all right, I got this. All right, let's try this again. I just like wave the person on. I'm like, just go, please stop staring at me.
Did you take Jen on it? I'm assuming.
Yeah, I did.
Did she make fun of you?
She didn't make fun of me directly. That was like literally the first night, and I literally drove that car to work that night because I had a client, and that was a rough ride. By myself, of course. It was just me in the car, and we'll leave it at that.
Mm-hmm.
I parked as far away as I could because at that point I still didn't know how to get my car in reverse. I tried a couple times, and I was like, okay, the trick to this is that I have to get into a parking spot where I can pull all the way through, and then I'll just drive forward all the way out.
You're so funny, bro.
Yeah. And then I had to Google search how to actually put it in reverse. There's a little thing.
God.
I thought that was just like comfort, right? The little thing, you got to pull it up.
Yeah.
And then you can go all the way over. The first time that I tried, 6th gear. Yeah. That didn't work. I can do it now. It's fine. Everything's fine. But yeah, we put Oliver in the back seat, which I'm super proud of. It's got plenty of room for the child. And we got out of the driveway and I stalled. And then we got to the stop sign and I stalled. And then we got to the other stop sign and I actually managed to pull out onto the busy road where there was nobody, of course, because there's nobody. I didn't stall. But she claimed that she got whiplash from the experience because of all the stalling. And then since it is turbocharged and the gear ratios are as such, the transition from first to second gear is rough. And I was even reading online that it's not just me being new. It's like, no, first to second gear is like, it's a rough transition.
Typically that first shift and that takeoff is where people fuck up a lot. And once you gain the feel like of the sensitivity, you'll be fine. It's the car that I own is a second manual car. So I've been driving manual for 10 years, and trust me, the first car, I mean, I already understood the concepts. I drove cars prior to that were luckily. So I was able to, for the most part, obviously like new clutch, super sensitive compared to different models, depending on how it is. And from rarely now do I stall. Like that's if like I completely slipped or like I was distracted or I was just being way too easy with it. But it'll happen from time to time, but overall, like it becomes second nature. I don't even think. Like I'm doing stuff and I'm eating, whatever, and I'm shifting a gear, sending a message, doing whatever I got to do, recording content while I'm driving. Now I have a stand for my phone, so I can just record content while I'm driving. But it's fun. I personally love the experience of a manual car. It's hard for me to actually give up my car because of that reason. So I don't know. I love it. I think it's a different driving experience.
It is. It really is. It's more engaging. I used to just hop in my car at 5 a.m. and just mindlessly drive. And now I have to be like, I have to be alert. And it's fun, and it's the kind of car, like I used to have a car when I turned it on, it made me smile when I heard the engine turn on. This is kind of getting back towards that. It's just like another reason to kind of be happy, I guess. But
yeah,
I kind of started this plan like about a year ago when I bought the Impreza. I made aggressive payments on that to get the loan to go down. And I know it's a Subaru, so they retain their value pretty well. And the plan actually worked out to where I was only upside down by like $1,000. And I was like, dude, just send it. And the payments wound up only being $40 more a month than what I was paying before. So
cool.
And I got like the roadside hazard protection and the paint protection and the interior protection because the sales guy was a fucking gamer with a really cool keyboard, and we hit it off. And yeah, I don't know if I got an actual deal, but he made me feel like I got a deal. And I guess that's all that really matters.
Well, it sounds like you love your car, and that's like I always tell people, man, like obviously like there's certain things that matter in life. There's certain like from a money standpoint, there's assets, there's liabilities. But what I always say is like, you gotta like what you. I personally like spend a lot of time driving daily, so I have to feel that I like what I'm in, even if it's not the newest thing. I gotta like it. I gotta like being there. If you like resent your car, it's like the worst feeling I feel when people say like, "I'm on my piece of shit." Like that's like the worst feeling,
Yep.
to have when you have a car. Period. Like sometimes humble beginnings. It is what it is. My first car wasn't my favorite car. It was a car that I didn't generally like, but it was a car to get me started. And then I bought the first car that I genuinely liked, and I was brand new and all that. Probably not the wisest thing at 19, 18 years old. But eventually I got into a car that I like now even more. It's been my favorite car since. So it's gonna be hard for me to let it go, but you gotta like it. So good, congrats, dude. That's fucking cool.
It's
How's it
super
gonna be
exciting.
rich?
I'm not rich, not yet. I will be soon. I was just talking to my manager about that. This upcoming paycheck's uh a little smaller than everybody else's because I was still doing like consultations and kickoffs and stuff, and the pay
Mhm.
period is like 2 weeks behind. So I'm getting paid for like early September.
Mm.
I was still doing like the kickoffs. Everybody else was like training, so their paychecks are big boys, and mine's going to be a little small. But the one after this, that's when it starts to look
That's
very
very
nice.
nice.
Yeah. Um, were we going to talk about fried chicken?
We can.
So before that, before I make a
So I can
transition over to
contribute.
that, yeah. So yeah,
I drove
so
a
before,
forklift once.
Abe's like
Couple-
all
Drove a
electric.
forklift a couple of times.
but just a quick update for like people are going to see this watching the YouTube. You're going to see a switch by next week. You're going to see a different screen for me. The moving process is going well. It will be basically all done most likely by this weekend coming up. So by the next week's episodes following, you will see I'll be probably recording in my room. I got a pretty big room, so I'm probably I don't have an office space anymore. So I lose like whatever is here. And it's gonna be, and people that don't know, I've been doing signs like emphasizing the room, but I'll be losing that. So I'll have a different setup. So next year, that's what you guys can expect. I'm actually looking forward to a new place. It's brand new. It's the first, we're the first people renting that spot. So goal for me, Mike, you had a goal with, your thing. My goal right now, I think, is to buy a house or buy a piece of property moving forward, because rent's being crazy here in Florida, man. So many people are moving here. So I'm waiting for it to stabilize and eventually just be able to make that transition for myself. So more money, more stuff, more responsibilities, but it's life. All good problems, I say, is stuff that is kind of an inconvenience, but I turned it into something. And the car analogy being that like you gotta like what you drive. That way, when you're spending money, it's actually enjoy. Like you don't feel like that resentment towards yourself. Same thing that I did with this place. I paid a little extra money. There's not that many options right now in the short notice that I had, but I actually look at it and I'm like, that looks cool. I'm actually gonna, because I spent a lot of time at home during my time. Obviously, we podcast, we take breaks between clients. So I gotta actually kind of like where I'm at and feel like, okay, cool. I'm spending money, but I'm getting some cool benefits out of this spot. Networking. I'm in a community now, so I get to network. I get to, you never know who you might meet during like me walking the dog, for example, whatever, you never know. And that's what perception I looked at it is like, just suck it up for about a year or so. And hopefully by then we'll see where life leads me. So
You got your sofa? Picked out your sofa?
yes, I did. I posted on Instagram like last week. Went with the bottom option, but
What about a bed?
I'm getting a different bed frame.
Mhm.
I'm gonna invest in a new mattress. I was talking actually on Jen on Facebook. Mike, I don't know if you saw my comment.
Get a sleep number.
Yeah, so I'm gonna probably go there and see what's up and get a nice fancy bed so I can sleep like a god. But gods don't sleep. No. But no, it was just sleep great. Get some transitions there, but a lot of cool stuff happened. I like change is good. I feel like change pushes. What I tell someone is that when you're too comfortable, you start to kind of slack off a little bit. So I think that having change that switches you out of your homeostasis, whatever you're comfortable with, you're gonna naturally, for most people, level up to that new standard or whatever. So I think that's gonna be a good thing in the long term.
So, Mike, you alluded to fried chicken. I think you excited people, and then they're not going to get the payoff.
It was a teaser. Yeah. So we had a little mess up yesterday where neither of us took meat out. We're a little lean on groceries anyways, because we eat all the food that we buy. So Jen stopped by Publix. We're going to get pub subs. Always a good idea. Little old man that is basically the sloth from that movie where the sloth is the DMV employee. Yep. He was making the subs, and she was like, I'm not waiting in that fucking line. Was it
Zootopia?
Zootopia, that's the one. Yeah. So either way, she's like, I'm not waiting that line. And I was wrestling a very upset, almost 8-month-old child when she was on the phone with me. So I was like, I don't care. Get me like chicken tenders or fried chicken, whatever. Like, just get something, macaroni salad, whatever. Just feed me. So yeah, she got like the actual fried chicken, like drums and thighs and wings and all that stuff in the macaroni salad. I was like, this is fucking delicious. I ate it. I sat there, and not even an hour goes by and my stomach just starts knotting up like super bad. And I was just like, oh, this is going to be a rough night. And sure enough, it was. It was pretty immediate. I don't want to be too graphic, but the cycle completed a lot faster than I anticipated, and it was not an enjoyable experience. We'll put it that way.
Basically, I had the same thing happen to me. same time. Probably when we probably were eating at the same time. Who knows? But dude, like literally, I didn't get fried chicken because I did that a couple months back, and I hadn't had it in a while. And I only enjoy the drumsticks when it's fried chicken. Honestly, everything else, I'm kind of like, it's too much. You can taste how much grease there is and the fat and blah. So I just like the drumsticks. But I got chicken tenders. I'm thinking, dude, it's late, dude. I've been slammed. I didn't buy a lot of groceries because I'm moving, so I don't want to load up my freezer and stuff with a bunch of crap. So I'm just like, let me just suck it up, buy minor groceries, just basic stuff. But I still want to have like a dinner, and I don't want to go home and like cook right now. It's already like past 8 o'clock. So I get some chicken tenders. I only had 2. I only bought 2, and I bought like a little bit of macaroni salad, a little bit of potato wedges. I had that, bro. It was like, I haven't had that in months, and I just felt the bubble in my stomach. Nothing was happening. It was just air, dude. I was just like hunched over by myself. Like, what's happening? Why am I being punished right now? Is this what a period feels like? And I'm just there like hurled over. I'm like, this fucking sucks. So that was about an hour of just like discomfort. So what I did is that I just grabbed a bit of bourbon for my Bourbon Heritage Month, and I just slipped on it, and it instantly killed whatever was inside because it's like 95, 100 proof alcohol. So I think this moral of the story: if your stomach hurts, drink bourbon. It will make you feel better.
Well, my stomach hurt, and I sat on the toilet, and that made me feel better.
Any other updates, guys?
So do you think the reaction that you guys got from that, is it because you haven't had it in so long? And do you think like it's kind of like a good reaction that like, a good reaction to have because you haven't had it? Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Every time that happens, every time I eat something like that, like we had Jets Pizza, not to like, corporate sponsor or anything like that, but we had Jets Pizza like a couple weeks ago, and something similar happened where that's like heavy, thick dough, very greasy. It's delicious. It's tasty as fuck. Crust. But the same thing happened. And it always reminds me of like, people eat like this all the time, and this doesn't happen to them. And that to me is like, I don't know if that's impressive or sad, but it's one or the other.
A little bit of both.
Maybe a little bit of both.
Why not?
But yeah, we eat well. I mean, and it's such a drastic change from, broccoli and chicken and baked potato. That's how humans should eat. And then you eat this other stuff, and it's like such a drastic difference in how you feel. And the effect is immediate. And I still kind of feel bogged down from it today, because I just feel like I felt greasy this morning, I normally don't.
Yeah, dude. Like I know 100% what you're saying. And like my thing would be, I think that maybe some people adapt. Of course, it doesn't like feel that way, but it's like, or maybe they just so used to, like, they just think that them feeling that way is normal. And we've talked about this in the show many times. Like you're just used to that kind of that weird,
used to the dirty windshield.
Yep. You're used to the dirty windshield. You don't know what it's like to have a clean windshield and see much clearer. Same thing when your body's running on that. So I totally understand. So I think that's a little bit of both.
Yeah. Well, I
Real quick, I was gonna say you mentioned Jet's Pizza, but that's why we like Blaze Pizza because I guess it's a thinner crust, and we pack on like damn near all the toppings that they have, which are primarily vegetables. So I can just kill an entire pizza and not feel that type of bloat or that type of irritation or discomfort or anything that you say. So we try to find places that we feel that way afterwards, and it's a little hard to find places like that.
Yeah, there's a coal-fired pizza place pretty close to where I live, and we've gone there a couple times, and the you can tell it's a lot more of a natural food experience because afterwards you don't feel awful. And then even to that effect, Jets has a cauliflower crust pizza that's actually pretty good. We've gotten that a couple times, and same thing. It's not.
Is it still deep dish or is it like regular?
No, it's thin. It's thinner. I wouldn't say it's thin crust like Domino's little cardboard, which I actually like Domino's thin crust pizza, but it's a more reasonable thickness as far as the crust goes, and it doesn't have that effect. It's a lot easier to digest, but I always use this. I actually use this trick on clients. Like if I get somebody to eat pretty well for like 2 or 3 months, avoid shit like that. When they ultimately need to make a convenient choice one day, they're like, I had like my favorite fast food or whatever. And I felt like shit afterwards. I'm like, yeah, that's how you felt all the time, buddy. Now you don't. And now you feel the effects. And it's like, now you see it. Now you see through the clean windshield. So I don't know.
I think that transitioning over to fitness,
I was going to make that transition because so when you tell them to do that, I mean, it doesn't happen from one day to the next of them having that meal and they just feel that way, right? For them to clean their windshield, would you say that it takes some time?
Yeah, you gotta put some time into it to let your body reacclimate to eating like a normal person. And so, yeah, it does take some time. It's a good month or two.
I think that is a perfect segue to the next part of the show. So when it comes to that, I mean, just within general, just overall health and fitness and establishing a new lifestyle, it doesn't happen from one moment to another. And Mike was having a conversation with someone. I was actually having a conversation with someone today, very long. And that conversation never goes away. The more you coach people, the more you work with a variety of people, the conversations, the questions are kind of very similar. It's different scenarios, different nuances, but the core message boils down to the same thing. We are conditioned to want to get that result very quickly. If you're really honest with yourself, you're not in the position you may find yourself in or were in. And it didn't happen just you woke up one day and you were 20 pounds, 50 pounds overweight. It may feel that way because you weren't noticing the time go by. You were so distracted with life and stuff happening. But the same thing's going to happen on the way back. Now that you're hyper aware of it, you think that it's supposed to be moving very quickly. But the progress that you're making right now or on the pace that you're at right now is probably perfect. And I think that is just clarifying this because it's like when you hyper focus on like that one thing over every day, you're going to feel like nothing's happening. But the truth is that like I made a post about like different signs of progress that the scale won't show, or it's not going to tell you, or you're not going to be able to base it all based on that number. And literally you have to disconnect from this whole perception that you need to fit your progress within a specific window, because if you do that too neurotically, like if you're too strict on that, you're gonna be frustrated. You're gonna sabotage your own progress because things are probably moving just fine. You're going at a nice good pace. I recently just got into investments and stuff, and obviously like literally very small, right? And what they tell you, it's ironic. The messages that you get in finances is the same messages that I kind of relay to my fitness clients. Hey, like, you don't invest usually if you're starting and you don't know. You got to learn all these little things and nuances with the lingo and what these things mean. And when stuff's happening, what could that be? And you hire someone, you ask for people that know, and you start learning. And I always love the analogy of the chart, of the graph that's, the line chart. You can kind of see the progress that's happening over the course of time. Same thing when you're having some client weigh themselves and over the course of months. those peaks and valleys, those dips, you can't be emotional about it. You got to understand that you got to look at a year from now where that chart, that trend is going month after month, year after year. Those peaks and valleys in throughout your progress, that's real life. That's because you're a human being. So understanding that and looking at it like I'm putting money here, I'm investing here in myself. I'm not going to wake up with $1 million unless you fucking invested in this mega stock and it just turned into that. But like, you got to understand this is for the long game. You're getting to your fitness journey because you're thinking of the long-term benefits of where you're going to be within a year, 5 years, 10 years. So I love the association. That's why I kind of been diving into learning. I don't know shit. Like I don't know nearly what I got to know, but I also understand that I have to be patient. I never learned this in depth growing up. So I can't expect the people that have been spending years and decades doing this stuff that I'm just going to know everything that they know. And that's okay. Same thing if you're hiring a coach. Same thing if you're starting your fitness journey. Maybe you're in the middle of it. You got to understand that play the long game with this. You need to be a little bit more patient. I know people get antsy, especially at the beginning. And I'll kind of dive in later about the kind of the little phases. I'm going to look up the little chart that I think will kind of tie this in nicely.
Yeah, you take any stock that you see that has some great success, and I bet you if you take a look at any maybe a week in that snapshot of just a week, a given week, I'm sure they went down like a certain amount, and you would say, "What? Oh my goodness, this is terrible! I got to get out of here." Mm-hmm. But then you back out, you see like the full year. Oh, they're actually grown exponentially. Any stock, you're talking about like either Bitcoin or Tesla, Amazon, Disney, or any stock that's doing amazing right now. I can zoom into a given week, 2 weeks, even a month, and see that it looks like it's going down and might not be a great idea to continue on with it. Then you back out and you're like, yeah, if I would have backed out, I would have been kicking myself in the ass.
Yep. That's where I'm at with some of the cryptocurrency that I invested in. Started off super small.
When we were talking about this for a bit before with Bitcoin, and and mainly because you're able to now purchase it through Venmo, which I thought was kind of cool,
and PayPal,
and PayPal. And I was looking at it, and same thing that you were, all that good stuff, and everything, all the things, all the apps. And I think I was going back and forth, and then I didn't. I forgot the number that we said that it was at, and I bet if we would be okay right now. We would be happy.
We'd be very happy. And yeah, that's just that's exactly the way that it works with, I mean, most things. We're not really talking about, getting better at like a video game or something meaningless, but fitness is exactly the same. I mean, sometimes it's a peak, sometimes it's a valley. And I was having this conversation earlier today, and of course it's a little bit of I don't know, in a certain light, there is a sales process to it from my end with a client because I want them to continue training with me. But at the same time, like, it's been 4 weeks, like, you're not going to see the results that you're looking for in 4 weeks. And that's not an unreasonable thing for me to say. If it's been a year and you're still not seeing results, then there's something that we need to figure out. But that was exactly the conversation I was having with somebody. Was like, she's like, well, it's been a couple of weeks. I'm not really seeing a difference. I'm like, well, I told you this is a process. It takes time. You don't have crazy goals. You're not trying to lose 100 pounds, but still, it's not like just an overnight change. I tell everybody the first month, you're mostly seeing like neurological adaptations. You may see a little bit of benefit as far as how you're moving, depending on what you're doing. And maybe flexibility and mobility is improving. Your mood is improving. You're just building the habit and getting used to it. It's 2 months and afterwards, that's where like things really start to like kick in, especially as our diet gets more on point and the exercise become more consistent. Because realistically, you've only exercised like 6 or 7 times in the past month. Like, what are those 6 or 7 times really going to do for you in that amount of time? It's not that big of a difference, And I don't know. That's kind of my spiel on it, but
kind of what there's for. I was going to say that there's other metrics to kind of like even look at within that particular instance. Like if you have someone that says, oh, it's been a couple of weeks and I don't see any changes. Like, well, I mean, are you though? I mean, how's your sleep? How's your skin? How's this? How's that? How's, if you're looking for if you're talking about the scale, then sure, there might be any much change, but that's most likely intentional. I'm sure you have that conversation that says, look, we're probably not going to see much change, but that doesn't mean that we're not going to be making any kind of positive body composition changes to it. Mm-hmm. So it's not just that one number.
Yeah.
The point that I kind of wanted to, I couldn't find it. I think the person that they posted this, it got deleted. So, or they switched accounts, because I know a lot of people have been getting censored and canceled and having to recreate their accounts over and over again. But this was a couple weeks ago. I think it explained very good what to expect throughout the process of fitness. Well, kind of in life in general, when you're going through like a learning curve. A lot of times with fitness, though, it's like the first time, it's like everything's so new and exciting. You're like, I just invested in something. I bought a program. I hired a coach. You're like super like enthusiastic and just ready. You think that this is going to be like a breeze, like, oh, I've lost weight before. It should be even better. And you're just looking all optimistic, right? When you actually start going through the process, it's like, oh, like I'm kind of losing that excitement. It's not as new. Like, oh shit, this is more basic than I thought. This is not like so glamorous and like, wow. I got to track my food. I got to lift weights a couple of times. I don't got to do a bunch of cardio. Like, what the hell is this? Like, damn, this is kind of like a little bit, maybe might go through that little bit of that disappointment mode. You might start seeing some progress. It keeps you kind of motivated, keeps you showing up, whatever. That you have money invested. You never know kind of what's driving this person, right? Then you kind of get to that point that you're, a couple months in and you're like, damn, I feel like I'm not making any progress right now. I'm stalling out. I'm not losing weight as fast. The flush is not happening. Like the first month, it was just like, wow, everything was just going great. Now I'm in this middle phase that I'm kind of getting frustrated because I'm trying to learn like, damn, like I got to do this consistently. I got to keep showing up. It's not just falling off anymore. I'm having a couple of weeks where I'm stalling out. I'm having like a bad month or whatever, or life's hitting you. And you start getting that discouraged mode where you start tipping into that, like start slacking off a little bit or keep pushing forward. Is it even worth it type mentality? Like, should I just give up at this point and just be content with what I've got, knowing you still got this way to go? Then to kind of trickle back into that motivation of like, you know what, you have options. Some people may fall off at this point. This is like step typically number 3 in the phase of change. But if you can make it through that uncertain period where you're just kind of like being impatient with yourself, even though you're probably making progress in a lot of other areas in your life that have significant payoff in the long haul, stick through it. And you kind of start gaining like that knowledge and you start understanding like, cool, like I really just got to keep digging. I got to just wait this out. People ask like, oh, like, what is this person doing? They're so shredded. The same shit that we're probably telling you to do. Like just be in a calorie deficit, lift some weights. There's nothing crazy that they're doing. They're just embracing the suck even more. And they understand that they just got to go through it. Like they have to just keep going through that uncertainty process. And then once you start going through that, it kind of starts trickling back up. If it's a chart, you start kind of going back up and ramping some momentum and kind of start seeing the results start happening much more smoothly because you now go through that understanding process of understanding the principles that are being taught, even though you were so uncertain of what this thing meant. Now, okay, now I understand what truly like a macro is. I understand like energy balance. I understand calories. I understand it's not the keto diet my friend was doing. Everything is working pretty smooth with me. And now I'm starting to actually gain some momentum. And then that's the client that sees this shit through. So Gabe, go ahead. I know I went off a little bit of spiel.
No, not at all. You guys ever taken a road trip?
Not like
yes.
long, but
okay.
I guess
3-4
hours.
So then when you do that, there's going to be points in times where you're driving and you're just like stuck in traffic or maybe even just like standing still on the highway.
Yep.
Right. So you just kind of like just have to kind of keep on going. And then it just happens. If you have like a long-term goal, something that's going to take like, year, 2 years, or this is something that's going to be for the rest of your life, you're going to come across some kind of situations where you just either are at a standstill or just waiting there, or it seems like it's not going as fast as it should be, but it's still, you have to kind of like just keep on moving forward, kind of keep going. Hey, sometimes you got to just pull off the side of the road and just go to the gas station, just, grab a Starbucks or something or a snack. And that's okay. As long as you kind of get back onto your path, get back on the road and get back to, get to your destination. That was my thought.
I would even extrapolate it out to my current experience where I just bought a car that I didn't know how to drive. And then I started learning how to drive it. And the first trip around the neighborhood was literally just me jumping one car length at a time, stalling the whole fucking way, one random success. I have no idea what I did that worked. And then eventually it started connecting the dots, and then I could get a little further, and then so on and so forth. And now I'm able to hop in my car and confidently drive to work. Maybe I stall along the way and it's okay because I know what I did wrong, and so on and so forth. 3-6 months from now, a year from now, 5 years from now, if I'm still driving the same car, it should just be basically driving around like an automatic, how it used to be, where I don't even have to think about it. I can just hop in and fucking go. And the same thing would apply to, I mean, really anything of value. You don't build a good savings account $100 a time in a couple of weeks. It takes several $100 deposits to get you to anything that's impressive. But yeah,
I think you just continue to do the nice steady pace, man. It's like you can't expect like looking at fitness as an investment in your body, your health, your long-term longevity with the quality of the life that you're going to be living, whatever that may be. You never know. Obviously, the uncontrollables, of course, people are going to argue, but the consistent thing is always going to be true. Like if you just continue to do the nuance, the small, ordinary, basic shit, little by little, every single day, because of the problem. I know a lot of people may be thinking, well, I eat clean. I don't know what's wrong with me. But then you look at what it never was about clean or dirty, whatever the fuck you want to label it. You got to look at the way you're doing day in, day out. And this is including the times that you're out in the weekends and the consistent pattern, what's happening there. So I think that just understanding that you got to show up day in, day out, every day, little by little, do what you can consistently, long term, you will have the payout. It's not about that big whopper of an investment of that one good month of clean eating and following your diet. It's the fucking year that you invest in yourself of showing up to your workouts consistently each week, not missing as much, hitting your nutrition pretty damn good in a good range day in and day out if you're serious about getting results. And over time, you may go slower than the person that went on that drastic radical change, but you're actually going to keep that weight off and keep that hard-earned muscle that you built. You're going to actually be still relevant with your fitness. Fitness is going to be relevant in your life years after, because it wasn't a phase. It wasn't out of emotion. It was, you showed up every single day, day in and day out, did the stuff. That's why we apply this to everything. We understand that work is never always fucking exciting every single day. It's like there's stuff that it's going to be like, this is it's an ordinary day. We did an episode. Be okay with the ordinary shit that happens every day, because that's what's going to make it worthwhile, where you're going to experience those higher moments where it's like, wow, this is a fucking amazing experience. But that's not real life all the time. That's not your fitness either. This shit for a long time is going to be like, oh, I'm just going to the gym, squatting, deadlifting, benching, rowing and shit. And this is just what it is. But keep sticking to it. I had a friend, I got to do a quick side note. He was talking about like a client like was complaining, why do we always do this thing? Like whatever exercise, you can insert exercise here. Why do we always do this exercise? And it's a pretty good staple to have in your leg day. I would feel like a good old leg extension, classic leg extension, great quad exercise, right? If you just want to feel your quads, like they have knives piercing through them, and you want to really exert yourself. Like, why do we always do leg extensions if I want to build my quads on leg day? Well, my friend was being sarcastic. He's like, well, can you do the full stack for 20 reps? No. Okay, then you haven't maximized the machine. You still have room to improve. In other words, like the same ordinary stuff. It's not about this whole flashy, exciting. It's about just getting really good at the basics over and over and over again. It's like fucking Conor McGregor missing a basic ass pitch on, like, I don't know if anyone saw this on the internet. Like he just he did the worst pitch in history, first pitch ever.
Just the ball he threw a football bad.
But you would think that's so basic, just throw it on. I'd probably just miss the pitcher completely. I don't know. Like I would have to see what I would do. But it's like that. Them athletes that you admire so much that they do these extraordinary feats, they're doing the basic things every single day, multiple times a day. And you would probably be bored watching them practice, versus the game is where the spectacles come out at times. But in the day in, day out routine, they're probably pretty boring individuals. So it's okay. We just have this mindset that it's going to happen now. It's going to happen like yesterday. the things that are going to matter for you guys is going to be just, it's going to take that time and that grind.
Take some time. It's okay. Grab a Snickers, but only mentally though, not physically.
Yeah, put the Snicker down.
Yeah,
put the cookie down.
Take a chill pill.
Don't eat fried chicken. Apparently, if you haven't,
God.
Make your fried chicken. I bet you if you made it, you'd be fine.
I'm good, dude. I'm scarred. That shit was awful. So you want to final thoughts? Anything that we need to add?
Do
Michael?
you know what the F in orphan stands for?
What is it?
Family.
Jesus.
There's no F in orphan.
Oh, God, that was dark.
And realistically, this can't be a dad joke because orphans, they don't have dads. Oh man. Wow.
That got dark. I love it.
Hey, make it a little bit lighter. A little more upbeat. There's no riddle, no nothing.
Oh no.
No.
Just a dad. I thought it was funny. I read that this morning at like 3:45 a.m. and I laughed because I thought it was funny.
I thought it had something to do with that.
Yeah.
Hey, you guys know how much a rainbow weighs?
I don't know.
Not much. It's actually pretty light.
Oh.
Mm.
There it is. See? Lighten up
Ta-da.
the
Literally.
no effort.
Oh no! I just lost one of my white beard hairs. Can you see it in the screen?
No,
Yes.
I can.
Can you see it?
Thanks for showing us.
That's sad.
And
That
the
makes me
listeners,
sad.
go
I
check
work
it
hard
out.
for those.
Go check out Mike's wisdom falling out of his beard. All the wisdom that he just spat right now in this show, it's coming out of it's paying it with his beard hair.
Now with that dropped 10 points.
With that being said, listeners, we hope you guys enjoyed this episode of the podcast. Best way to show us support is to go ahead and give this video a thumbs up if you're watching it on YouTube. Leave a 5-star rating and review. Just scroll down. There should be an option. Just leave a little 5-star rating. If you want to leave a review, that also is super beneficial for the podcast. It makes us trend better. And if you want to check us out on the socials at The Next Level Show, you can check my personal page at John Apple Fitness. Gabe, he's at Prime and Glory. Mr. Mike, the new car rich owner, is at Mike Nillis PT. And until the next one.